Hello. Hello. Well, this is new and this is exciting. We're at live from the Volvo showroom in central Stockholm. So welcome to the Big Meet and Sweden Foodtech's big event of the year. So my name is Chris Fung and I'm hosting the personalized and performance food track this afternoon with a host of exciting guests and speakers and also some of the latest food tech startups pitching. So my background is as a former CEO of Crush Fit Food and Juice Bars, one of London's leading healthy eating chains, with over 30 sites. And I led that business for about 13 years and been at the forefront of healthy eating and innovative sort of food. So stepped out about 4 years ago or so, and mainly to focus on food tech as an investor and board advisor. So getting involved in a number of future food tech businesses with a particular focus on health and well-being. So I'm now involved in a number of businesses like around healthy pot noodles to D2C pasta deliveries and dark kitchens as well, and hospitality tech. And recently we have just co-founded a really exciting new business called Lunch.co, which is a peer-to-peer marketplace platform for home-cooked lunches in the workplace. So I've actually held a long interest ever since the Crush days in the area of personalized food. Biohacking as well has been an interest, and also health and well-being through food and fitness. So I am no expert by any means, but a very interested layman. You will be hearing this afternoon from the experts themselves all afternoon. We have everyone from Dr. Mariela Glandt, who is based in Tel Aviv in Israel. She's a Harvard-trained doctor who has completely gone against her traditional training to apply her work to solving diabetes through personalized diets and through a ketogenic diet. So very excited to hear how she's doing that and how that's really changing people's lives. We then have two of Sweden's most accomplished former athletes turned foodies and food tech investors as well. So ex-NHL ice hockey star Mattias Weinhadl and also ex-Ryder Cup golf legend Per-Ulrik Johansson, who was the first ever Swede to win the Ryder Cup. After the break, we also have Mikael Mattson, a researcher from Karolinska Institute and also who's based out in Stanford at the moment, into physiology, and we're looking at elite performance of athletes and how that's going to be impacting, I guess, our everyday work lives and what we can learn from that. And then last session of the day will be with my friend Linette Kucsma, who is from Natural Machines, and she will be talking about her amazing 3D food printer, the Foodini. So we have some really exciting things this afternoon. Along the way, we will also have 2 mini sessions of 6 of the hottest startups pitching their ideas, and we will have Artem Golchenko from Rockstart Ventures, which is a VC accelerator fund that's based out of Amsterdam with an interest in personalized food. So we will have Artem join us and ask the Q&A from an investor perspective, and there'll be 2 lots of 3 that will be pitching to us. So it promises to be a very exciting afternoon, full of discussion around how the world looks in this funny year of 2020 and personalized food. So we're lovely to see you. How is Tel Aviv?
We're quarantined big time here, so we're all at home.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to say, pardon the way of line of sight, because the camera's in front. I'm looking at Mariela, so it's going to be a little bit of toing and froing, but we'll get around that.
Yes, you know the problem, don't worry.
Yes, so I'm going to say, well, welcome, Dr. Mariela Glandt. You are our first guest for this afternoon's track, and I guess you are running the Glandt Institute, Glandt Center for Diabetes out in Tel Aviv, and Dr. Mariela is well, I guess her and her team, they fight the global curse of metabolic disease based on personalized treatments where food and medicine are combined. So she is a real superstar, and I will pass it over to you to, I guess, give a brief description of what you are doing and a bit about your background. I'd love to hear a bit more.
All right. So I have, I'm a very traditional doctor by training. I meaning that I never learned anything about nutrition. So I about 6 years ago, suddenly started to realize that with our paradigm of how we understand diabetes does not really make sense. We're all focused on just treating the sugar, but that's just one of the symptoms. It's not really the disease. The problem is that the body's rejecting the sugar. So you can give insulin and try to push that sugar inside, but that's the wrong treatment. We don't, there's a reason why the body doesn't want the sugar, and that's because it's super stuffed with sugar in the first place. So it has too much, it's storing too much energy as is. So trying to stuff more energy in is not the way to go. So once you realize that, you're like, okay, so then what should I be doing? Maybe I should stop bringing in the sugar and the carbs. And that's pretty much, once you realize that, it changes your whole focus, and you understand that, wow, the problem with type 2 diabetes is really food, and that's where the answer is. And so I switched my focus, of course, after reading extensively for, nonstop even to this day, because you have all this responsibility when you go against what you've been taught. So you really have to know as much as you can, the science behind this, and it just really makes sense to me. So now I spend 75% of my time talking about why you need to focus on food with the patients.
And how have you been looking at it from a food perspective? What have you, I guess, is food as medicine to some extent, and how are you thinking about it in terms of the dietary part?
Well, first of all, I think our focus needs to be going back to real food. Okay, so this means things where you can actually read the labels and understand what you're putting in your mouth. I think that our bodies know how to deal with meat, chicken, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruits, the things that we've eaten most of our lives. Our human lives, meaning like millions of years, 2 million years. So once you make that shift, already you're doing a lot of good. Okay. Now, in order to correct diabetes all the way, you really have to get rid of the carbs and when I say sugar, I mean something with fructose in it. So we've got to go all the way and get rid of that, because already, if you eat a bit of carbs in life, that's not going to kill you, of course. But if you are already insulin resistant, meaning you're already in that state of metabolic syndrome where the body, you either have hypertension or high cholesterol or obesity or diabetes, any of these things, then already whenever you eat a carb, that is faster converted into fat than if you are not insulin resistant. And therefore you have to be all the way eating without carbs, at least for quite an extensive time, until things really fix themselves.
Great, and I guess this is partly what you're calling a ketogenic diet to some extent.
Yes, and it has many names, but in reality, it's basically cutting out the carbs and unhealthy fats and the sugars. And yes, now it's become a very popular, trendy diet. But that's, we have to remember that there's a lot of science backing this up. So it's not just a fad. It's actually what we should be eating. And actually today, I got a copy of a book from 1917 of how diabetics should be treated. And it's exactly what I recommend my patients. It was so satisfying.
Fantastic.
It was really incredible. So
and we're saying, this is sort of exciting stuff, and I guess it's worth delving into sort of why that it's been around for quite a long time. But yet we haven't, it's only recently we're rediscovering it, well, actually several phases of rediscovering it over the years. What stopped mainstream medicine sort of embracing it more?
Well, I think the history can really, if you look back, sometimes in history there's like one person that changes the way of events, right? We're kind of living in that moment right now. And there was this guy called Ansel Keys who really managed to convince all major players, from the National Health Institute to the American cardiologist to really all the major players, that fat was the enemy, and saturated fat especially. So this led to two things. It ended up leading to the low fat movement, and it's in guidelines, national guidelines, which came out in 1977 with the government committee, where the pyramid was, where you had the base of the pyramid were carbs.
Yep.
Was wheat, corn, and basically all the carbs. And the top of the pyramid was fat. And then because of the fear of saturated fat, we started eating all these vegetable oils. And vegetable oils have no vegetable in it, okay? They are the most industrialized thing that our bodies have never actually dealt with, you know, in the past. They don't know how to deal with it. We know how to eat, you know, a seed, but we don't know how to eat what's been taken out of the seed, these seed oils that go through this really, really toxic process and end up oxidizing us and causing a lot of harm. Probably being a major player in the insulin resistance picture. So again, going back to real, you know, it's the vegetable oils and the fact that the carbs became so entrenched. Now, this official guideline, okay, and if you wanted to have a grant that went against that, you might not get the grant. A lot of people, this became the dogma. And actually the dogma became what's called the diet hypothesis. You eat saturated fat, this clogs your arteries, heart attack. Okay?
And the exciting thing is now we're doing 180 degrees on this, isn't it? So I think it's quite fascinating because, you know, I think I was saying before, like, you know, 5 years ago, I was looking at that when we were at Crush doing a keto type sort of thing. And actually I could see that in the customers really, you know, they could actually see that they shed weight, they actually feel better, their skin's better, all sorts of stuff. So it's absolutely fascinating. And we only actually have, we can talk on for plenty of time. We only have about a minute left. So, so I'm curious, really, to say, I guess from, you know, are there any practical tips that you can share with, I guess, our audience as to, you know, what are the, you know, 1 or 2 things that people should really sort of think about in terms of, you know, beating diabetes or even, you know, other metabolic diseases, perhaps, you know, cancer maybe, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, you know, just try to, the easiest thing to say is cut out the sugar, okay? Cut out the sugar and the seed oils. Though if you just do those 2 things, you are doing yourself a huge favor, okay? That does a lot. It's a big bang for your buck there. What I think, you know, actually, since I am talking at a food tech company, conference, I will say that now we just came out with a bread that was born from my clinic. The company's called Eat Sane, and we are delicious low carb food with no artificial sweeteners, where you understand everything in the label, okay? And everything is real, and you know, watch out for that. We're gonna be really coming out soon with in the United States, and it's called chocolates and pizza, and all sorts of good stuff on the way. And but anyway, that's an aside. But the truth is that that's just to help people try to get rid of the bread, which is really one of the things that a lot of people have a hard time giving up.
Exactly, because, you know, we've grown up on that, and that dogma, as you say, of grains and so on, where, you know, everyone loves bread. Well, a lot of people do.
Yes, it's one of the hardest things, exactly. So we, you know, so anyway, like I said, we going back to real food, meat, chicken, fish, eggs, try to eat as much organic and as the best quality possible. It really matters. And vegetables and drink your chicken soup.
Excellent.
And well, it's actually pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mariela Glandt. We will post the information later on, I guess, on the website about Eat Sane. If you can send it to us, we'll spread the word.
Okay.
And it's really great to see you and to hear all the wonderful work you're doing with, you know, with diabetes, and I think, you know, it really is the start of something, you know, that should be sweeping the world, I guess, in a good way.
Absolutely, especially with Corona, by the way. We're very important to keep your metabolic health healthy.
Great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Excellent. This was great fun. So let me introduce both of you. So Mattias and Per-Ulrik are, I guess, you guys are nice guys around. And besides being true foodies, they both have had amazing careers as elite athletes. Per-Ulrik has been, I guess, the first Swede to win the Ryder Cup golf.
Yes,
which is pretty amazing, actually. and he's now a foodie and really into his wine, and has a great balanced approach to how we think about food, nutrition, performance, and otherwise. So we're going to be delving a little bit into that. And we have Mattias, who is an ex-NHL ice hockey star. So I guess both in the US and I think Sweden too as well. But he's spent a lot of time over there, and since that career, he has now been very much focused as a food tech investor as well, with a particular bent on nutrition, health, and well-being, and so on. So very, very excited to have both of you. Perhaps, I guess, the context is we're going to be talking about performance, how food can actually impact your performance as an athlete, and then also perhaps what are the things that we can do to extract more performance out of ourselves, and just the way, how do we personalize things for each other. So perhaps a quick intro, Mattias first, if you could just tell us a little bit about what your current interests are, a bit about yourself, and then we'll move on to Per-Ulrik as well.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah.
My last 6 years has been as an angel investor. So that's what I do full time today. I meet entrepreneurs and try to find the good entrepreneurs and teams and invest in them. And last maybe 2-3 years it's been more in the agri-tech and food tech, because I think that's a really big issue, how we get the nutrition into our bodies, and a little bit, the system is a little bit broke, so that's what I want to try to fix for the entrepreneurs I support.
Yeah.
So that's what I do today.
Fantastic, great. Per-Ulrik.
well, a little bit different from Mattias. Thanks for having us here.
Yes.
Well, I work as a commentator for a Swedish golf channel called Viaplay, V-Sport Golf, which is fun. We cover the European Tour and most of the majors, and also some World Championship tournaments. So that's a great fun. That's about half a time job. I'm now looking into the food and wine business to see what I can contribute with there, since it's one of my biggest interests.
Yes.
And daily I look at the recipes, both nutritious and sort of comfort foods, which is about 20% of what I like. But 80-20 is sort of my scale that I try to live by. 80 nutritious, healthy, 20 to treat yourself.
Excellent, and that's a great balance. I like that. I'm probably more 20-80 sometimes. But great. So why don't we? I guess one of the things that we really want to sort of hear more about is, what was it like when you were both, at the prime of your athletic, careers, and how did food play a part in performance? Did it or did it not? And then how has that changed over the years, and especially now with the current crop of elite athletes and what we know about food now compared to a few years ago. Mattias?
I think if I knew what I knew today, I think I would be a much more better athlete than I was, for sure. I think in my time it was not so much focus on the food, nutrition wise, and what I hear now, it's getting much better, and it's getting much more individual and personalized, which I think is really key, because everybody is different and we need different fuels, say. So that's what we have to do, and I think we are on the way, but we have quite not really dared to objective see how the food nutrition is affecting our body. But we're getting there, and I think that's the key. We have to measure and see, and then we can change our behavior.
Yeah. And when you were playing hockey, what kind of food did you eat?
A lot of us, especially when I played in the US, it's famous for the steaks. So let's say we could have a steak like 5-6 hours before a game.
Right.
No pasta?
Pasta, a lot of pasta. And,
wow.
I wouldn't have that steak today 5 hours before a game.
Yes.
If I say that. So I think I would make some more changes at the plant-based protein instead of the animal protein. So that's where I'm grown up with.
Yes, and I guess we've all seen the game changers on Netflix, where we've seen the power of vegan protein for the big, NFL players, and seeing how they perform. It's all quite interesting, right? So Per-Ulrik, how about you? I mean, part of it is hockey's one sort of quite a physical sport with contact. Golfing is different, and I guess how was that, from a food perspective for you when you were playing?
Well, obviously it's a little bit different. It's physically tougher to play hockey as far as pulse. You get up to max pulse and tackling, but you still need strength to play golf. The key in golf is to keep the blood sugar level pretty even, so you don't have the dips and the downs. So for golf, it's pretty much what you eat before and during. Golf round is around 5 hours.
Yeah.
So when I was playing in the European tour, it was pretty much the same thing. We had players' lounges, and it was the same food for 150 players.
Yeah.
We're all individual athletes, so we can cook out whatever we want. In the 90s, you kind of pretty much ate what you thought was tasting good. You didn't really think about, you knew a little bit about carb loading and stuff like that.
Right.
We didn't have any quinoa or stuff like that. It was pasta, potatoes.
Yes.
And the good thing was when you come down to Spain, you get a lot of olive oil and a lot of vegetables and avocado and stuff.
Yeah.
But then during golf, it's important. We knew that then, that it was not good to eat candy or have a hot dog after 9 holes. Because pretty much everybody ate still at that time, nuts, bananas, or other fruits.
Yes.
That's the key to keep the concentration through 5 hours, because at the end, when you come to the 17th and 18th hole, and you haven't had your, you're going to lose concentration. So that's a big thing.
And do you think today, like the golfers that are at the top of their game and hockey players, are they eating anything differently? Has the mentality shifted?
It's changed. In golf, it's changed a lot. And there was this one guy in the US, his name is Bryson DeChambeau. He just won the US Open by six shots. He gained 30 pounds during Corona from when he started. He gained about 30 yards in driving distance. He has changed his body totally. And he eats a lot. I'm not saying it's plant-based stuff. We're talking protein, working out a lot.
Yeah.
And he is really firing it.
So he's now hitting further than and stronger than Tiger Woods ever did.
Yes, he is. Longer than Tiger when he came out. He's up close to those guys that compete in long driving competition, only on a football field or airfield hitting balls. So he has really changed the game. But there are exceptions in golf where people think, you have the old John Daly's and Craig Stadlers that have been in Sweden. They drink, they smoke, stuff like that. And there's always exceptions. How are they going to react if you tell them to eat vegan?
Yes.
I don't know. They might perform better, but they might not enjoy life. I'm not sure.
And I think this is the really interesting part, right? Because when at the moment we're talking about all of this is around science and sort of trying to measure things and tweak things to be better. But we're now sort of to some extent moving to a point where we're treating athletes as machines and cogs. And we're not actually allowing the individuality or maybe personality and so on come out. Does that matter, or should we expect them just to be what they're told to be?
Well, no, you go.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think we have to treat every person different. We are different, and that's what I meant before, that we are not right there. We are, as a team sport. You have all the team eats the same thing. So I think we have a way. We're not there, and we have to go more individual and personalized. And I think we have the tools to do that. And when we do that, I think we can increase the performance much more.
Yeah. And even from your perspective, from I guess the hockey players now, the diet. How do you see that in terms of changing and then perhaps even supplements and all this sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think the diet I think probably a little bit same. I don't think that's a really big change so far, but I mean the supplement, it's been much more important, and it was even at my time we had supplements, but I think that's really accelerate now too, especially the young players who is more, and they also they try and they do some things and they measure it in somehow and then try to always get better. But I think the next step would be the food, and especially personalized.
Yeah. Because I think quite interested in the whole biohacking sort of thing. So we talk about the physical biohacking, but we're now moving, at least in terms of the world of Tim Ferriss, Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, all these guys that are into their sort of biohacking, into the not only just physical but also the mind side. Whether it is nootropics and other sorts of really interesting things. And curious to see or hear if anyone has actually been bringing that into the athletic space at the elite level, because everyone's looking for an edge, as long as it's legal somewhat. I guess.
Well, I think that's a big part of it, the psychological part. I mean, just knowing that you ate something that is extremely nutritious and it's going to help your performance.
Yeah.
Just knowing that is also going to give you an edge.
Yes.
You sort of kind of look down on your competitors.
Yeah.
Thinking, what did you eat? I had a steak. Well, I had this.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. That's huge.
Yeah. So the mind game's going as well.
Yeah. So I mean, that also works as a placebo thing. Like if you think you're nutritious,
mm-hmm.
If someone tells you if you're eating something nutritious and you believe that, it's going to have an edge too, because it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I guess we've got a couple minutes left. We said we'd go. We could speak for hours, but it's a couple minutes left. I thought maybe we could just shift a little to we talk about performance and so on, but we're all getting older. You guys are the athletes. I'm just the lump sitting here, but we still worry about our longevity and our ability to actually, I guess, when you're at the peak of performance, all the food and nutrition, everything geared towards an outcome of short-term, maximization, optimization. What about now from, now that you've got post sort of athletic career and thinking about the rest of your life and longevity? What is there? Are there any sort of thoughts and tips of how you might approach it and take some of the learnings from elite sport into longer life or better life?
Yeah, I've changed my my life pretty much from, as you said, when you're an athlete, it's pretty short term, then very focused on the outcome. And now I'm more focused on having a long, good life, longevity. And especially it's two factors that increase our age rapidly, and it's sugar and animal protein. So that's two things I try to avoid, not all the time, but when I have a chance to. And then I try to do some other stuff to also enhance my probability to have a longer life in form of sauna and physical activity, cold showers, infrared light, and stuff like that. So I'm also into biohacking and try to optimize my performance and well-being.
Mm-hmm. Great, excellent. And Per-Ulrik, I know you like your cold showers too, because there's a thing going actually for cold water therapy. It's not just the food, but there's other practices that we hear about.
Yeah, I've done the cold showers for a while now, and the thing is, the days that I don't do it, which is very seldom, I feel afterwards, I missed that.
Yeah.
I feel totally different. I don't feel as good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I'm after sweating, and when I take a cold shower, I usually take a warm shower first and wash, then I finish 1 minute with ice cold water, and I try to. The goal is to breathe through it, and then afterwards I feel incredible, endorphins and adrenaline. I feel younger.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a new person. I've done that a while, but I also like the sauna and the cold shower.
Yeah.
Like we said in the beginning, I'm an 80-20 person. Try to live 80% pretty healthy and 20% also enjoy life, because I think if you're going to live a long time, you also got to be happy.
Yes.
I mean, if you are happy with 100% nutritious, that's probably the best combination. But most people can't live like that. So I try to find. Look at the blue zones. Sardinia, the island of south of Japan.
Colombia.
So it's looking at what they do. Get the inspiration from there.
Fantastic. And I mean, I'm not as brave as you guys. I'm still doing a cold shower, but I do it first. I do a cold shower, and then while it takes the time, 1 minute to get warm, then I have the nice warmth afterwards. But it does work. I mean, it sort of fires the motor neurons and so on.
So let me just say something about that. The first time, if you're afraid of cold water, you hit that, yeah, but you're not going to die. You're probably not going to die. So the first 20, 30 seconds are tough.
Yes.
But then after that, it's like, I can go another 30.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Well, I think we're going to have to end it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on this. It was fantastic. I think, what are the key takeaways? We have, I guess, one of the first things is also following from Dr. Mariela Glandt is that the common theme here is don't eat sugar. Cut out the sugars, cut out those carbs to some extent. And also, hey, having a cold shower is going to make you a happier, healthier, longer living person. So thank you very much, Per-Ulrik and Mattias. Right. So are you able to share your screen?
Yes, just a moment.
So we should be having Artem also join us from Rockstar Ventures. Hopefully he will join at some point. But Mario, you've got 3 minutes to share with us your story around Heallo, and there'll be a couple of questions, Q&A, and anyone that would like to put in the questions in the chat, feel free, and we can address them as well.
Heallo is a project developed by a food scientist, Francesca Varvello, who was just developing the idea, and it's a project about the sugar content and the drastic reduction of the blood sugar, which is seen as one of the emerging and key problem for nowadays. So JAX is the name of the revolutionary selection of soluble fiber, which has been extracted by spent grain and bran in order to take out the soluble fiber called arabinoxylan, which is actually contributing naturally in reducing the postprandial glycemic peak. Lowering the glycemic impact is not only a matter of being healthy, it's a matter of trying to reduce the environmental impact. It's a matter of bringing to reality a concept of circular economy by transforming waste and byproduct into value-adding ingredient. The key point is the nutrition seen as a preventive factor and a sort of driver of longevity. Healthy eating is a sort of a new driver for a more sustainable and more balanced lifestyle. What JAX does is basically being an ingredient in powder form and being soluble could be added up to several food and drinks with the purpose to naturally reduce the glycemic impact. Here you may see some of the example that of product category that JAX has been applied for, and it is clinically tested. You see the quantity is relatively low, but the results are quite huge. Food and beverage, supplements, animal nutrition, pharmaceutical sector are the segment where this product could be applied, ideally in partnership with manufacturers, applying an ingredient branding and highlighting the advantage of reducing the glucose. We already made some experiment in Italy with some beer having experienced a -42 in the glucose rise, as well as we have been tasting it in some partnership project where basically beer and sugar itself are the fields of application. The purpose of the project is to develop a sort of ingredient branding and the possibility to apply to several branches, several segments of the food industry is one of the scope of the project. The plant will be about to be available and ready from end of the year, so green 4.0 technology, and we are just ready to go to the market.
Great. Thank you very much, Mario. That was 3.5 minutes. Thank you. I don't see Artem at the moment, but I guess, and are there any questions in the chat? It doesn't look like it, but so I guess I have a question for you, Mario. How is this similar in terms of performance to other sweeteners, around like erythritol or stevia, all those other sort of alternatives?
That's basically sort of
and the cost perspective.
Yeah, it's let's say much more natural in extraction, and it comes out from the bran and the spent grain by making bioavailable a soluble fiber, which in nature it is not, because in nature this arabinoxylenide is trapped into the cellulose of the bran, and the key issue of the project is making it bioavailable via an enzymatic effect. So enhancing the capacity of the soluble fiber to reduce the glucose peak simply by making it bioavailable. So it's a sort of neutral ingredient which doesn't affect flavoring and color of the foods where it is put in.
Great, excellent. Okay. Thank you very much. I think that's all we have time for. Appreciate the time and the great pitch.
I was lost somewhere here.
Great. So Charme is from Probitat. The floor is yours. You have 3 minutes and the pitch, and then any questions, again, please feel free to add the questions in the chat. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I start, I guess.
Yes, you'll start.
Yeah, so my name is Carme Plumet Ferrer, and I'm the founder and CEO of Probitat, a food technology startup specialized in plant-based fermented foods. So at Probitat, we are targeting malnutrition, which is a serious condition that we are far from solving, especially when we talk about obesity and hidden hunger. There is a clear correlation between the increase in unhealthy foods and the increase in obesity. And right now, in some countries, obesity can affect even 70% of the population. We have the need to change the foods we are eating right now. It doesn't mean we have to give up eating our favorite foods. We just need, as a food industry, to redesign them better. And that's what we can do at Probitat with our healthy bacterial solutions to increase the nutritional value of plant-based products. But apart from increasing the nutritional value, we can also improve the flavor of the products, the structure of the product, and specifically the health of the products because of our probiotic bacteria. How our technology works is that we have a list of bacteria that we have been isolating, studying, and using for the last 20 years while we were research at the university. And we use these bacteria to ferment healthy and nutritious raw materials. With these fermented ingredients, then we can apply them to different food designs, from drinks and smoothies, dairy alternatives, gluten-free and digestible breads, and protein alternatives. Here are some of the products we can build with our fermentation technology, like blue cheeses, camembert cheeses, all plant-based, by the way, bread and crackers, or even drinks and smoothies. Our business model is based on licensing and partnership with the food industry for the reason that we want our products to reach the consumers as soon as possible. So we do what we can do best, which is the development part, and we partnered with the production companies to reach to the supermarket as soon as possible. We are a small team, mainly based on scientists, and that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Carme. That's excellent. So, a couple of questions for you. I guess the question is, how is this different to all the other different sort of probiotics, prebiotics, that whole ecosystem of bacteria out there on the market? How's it different? And are you doing something that is unique in itself?
I think what is unique in us is the combination of everything, of how to use the bacteria into product development. And this is something it's very much explored in dairy foods, but not in plant-based. So all the probiotics are mainly in dairy products, but not plant-based. So, and we are specialized in that. So in a way, we are bringing that to the industry.
I see. Okay, great. And I mean, I was talking to someone actually the other day, the product developer. They've been looking at the vegan cheese, and it's been quite interesting to see actually all the different strains of whether it's blue cheese mold or whatever it is to be introduced into camembert and things like that. Is what you're doing similar in some ways to doing that, to be able to create a whole range of vegan cheeses and so on?
Yes, so cheeses is right now what is very popular in the food industry, and especially fermenting it, you can change completely the flavor of the raw ingredients. So in a way, there is a lot of interest in that direction. But we are not just stopping there. So we have also breads, we have also drinks. So we are very much focused on the technology, and it's what it makes us also different. That we know the bacteria, we know how to use them and how they behave basically, and we want to offer that to the food industry to develop what consumers are looking for. Right,
and so I guess I've been doing a sourdough bread recently. Is this something that you can add to it?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Can you repeat?
I've been doing sourdough bread, sourdough bread, and with a starter and so on. Is this sort of a bacteria that you can help shortcut the process or add to it?
When it comes to sourdough, what the bacteria is doing is flavor, because gluten-free breads usually don't taste much anything. So we can improve the taste of the flavor, but then the dough, the dough is raising. It's also quite a challenge in the gluten-free bread. So we can, with the bacteria, also stimulate that raising.
Great, that sounds fantastic. Well done. Well, thank you very much. I think that's our 5 minutes, and we are now. Thank you, Carmen. So we're now about to go on to a break. Thank you, Carmen.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back from the break, and for those of you who are just joining, welcome. Warm welcome to the personalized and performance food track this afternoon at Sweden Foodtech's Big Meet. So first thing, apologies again for those who've joined that the camera's in front of me, but Michael's on the screen, so I'll be looking backwards and forwards, but you can focus on Michael's wonderful face. So I guess, Michael, perhaps I guess we should give a bit of a quick background on Michael. He's come over from, I guess he's currently in Stanford in California, and he's a researcher and performance food guru. Shares his time between Sweden and I guess Stanford, expertise working with a lot of the athletes and elite athletes with data physiology. Michael, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're into and what you're interested in, and we can explore some of the elements around, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In short, I would say individualization. So what I'm working on is several aspects of individualization. So food being one part of not in my case, not the biggest one. I'm exercise physiologist from the beginning, gone from that to genetics, and do a lot of work in technology and validation and testing of different technologies, and to see how they can measure different aspects of performance and monitor athletes and recreational athletes and general population over time.
Right, fantastic. And I guess how do you? What have you seen so far? What are the things that you're seeing in elite athletes that you can actually apply to, I guess, our everyday work lives? What is there that is that's interesting? Yeah.
So over the last just couple of years, it's been a huge explosion in use of technology and the capabilities of technologies to measure biomarkers and measure workload and activity and the exercise side of things, and also the kind of outcome, the response with biomarkers. However, food is still kind of a blue ocean from a scientific perspective. I would say the only, if you're being a bit cross, part that you can actually measure today and see would be deficiencies. So jumping straight into it, since this is a very short session, performance food in this case is obviously good food will always be good food, high quality food. But that is kind of standard, not individualized. That's the same for everyone. And then you can do tests, everything from urine tests to blood tests for deficiencies, and then you can individually adjust deficiencies.
So I guess one of the things that I've always found interesting is that we are able now to measure a lot of the, I guess, our activity, if you like, with Fitbits, the old fuel band and all sorts of things, and with the Apple Watch and whatnot. We're able to measure sleep with the Oura Ring and some of the things, heart rate variability and so on. But this gap around food in particular, of what we eat, I think is still something that people aren't able to do easily. I guess if you're an athlete and you've got a whole team around you, measuring everything you do, that's fine. But on an individual basis, how do we solve some of that?
Yeah, that is by far the biggest problem in nutrition, and that is obviously you can theoretically write down everything you're eating, and you can do NO1, so your response patterns to different types of food, and now you can wear continuous glucose measurements, so you can have that on for a couple of weeks, and you can kind of do on yourself type of hacking and see, well, I ate this and then this happened, and I ate this on a day after a bad sleep, and or I had this for breakfast immediately when I woke up, or I had this for breakfast after an hour of being awake. And those type of things are possible to do now, but it's extremely cumbersome. It's a lot of work to get that understanding.
And it's very, very invasive to some extent as well, right? It's not something that's automated in a way. Yeah, and
it will take a lot of time to get the food log. It's no easy way to kind of take a photo, a snapshot of what you're eating, and figure out what nutrients is in that.
Yeah, I think the whole quantified self part is around that, and that's the one part we can't quite quantify. And I remember speaking to working with Lifesum a few years ago, and they all said that's just one gap, because people don't know what they actually ate, and then they don't really put everything down. And I guess you're saying there's no easy way around that at the moment.
Absolutely not, and we know from the exercise side that everything that's self-reported, so if you're supposed to write down everything you eat or write down what you actually did for exercise, that is a terrible metric in accuracy from a scientific perspective. And since we know that now, when we can actually measure activity, comparing what people said they did and comparing what the device told us, we have no reason to believe that food should be any better than that, any more accurate than activity.
Right. And I think you've done some research in terms of, I guess, how productive people are in the workplace. Is that right? You want to share a little bit about that and what we can do to improve our, efficiency at work, or productivity, I should say, really.
Yeah. Well, part of the work, not the work that I do, but the kind of the combination and taking everything together, we are looking into productivity at work, and we started from if you're more active, your productivity will be higher, and sick days will be fewer if you do your exercise, and obviously nutrition has a great part there, and from other people's research, we know that productivity, real actual work in the workplace, is around 3 hours per day for someone having an office work, standard office work. And obviously, if you can increase that by people being fitter, you can increase it by people be more active, you can increase it by a lot of things, and it's a great area for nutrition to be incorporated, and making sure that you give your workers or the people in the workplace proper nutrition during the day. So kind of the big tech companies stumbled upon this when they Google and Facebook and the likes, they serve food on campus. And the original idea was to do that so that people stayed on campus and therefore worked more. But it turned out that the people actually ate better, and therefore became even more productive, not just the extra hours they spent, but also increase in productivity.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting because all the traders, in London, the city of London, ICAP and people like that, they've also fed their staff to make sure that they stayed at their screens and didn't leave. And when I was running Crush, several years ago, that was a big thing where we were able to provide healthy food. And we even had a situation where I think Channel 4 did a documentary where they were able to measure sort of smoothies with blueberries and anthocyanins and whatnot to avoid that afternoon slump. So I think there's definitely something in there, and it's very, very nascent, I think, in terms of how we actually able to measure that and actually demonstrate that potentially. But the other part of this is also, I guess, I think, I'm quite interested in, you've got the physical health and so on, but the mental part on the biohacking and the nootropics and so on. Perhaps we can spend a few minutes exploring some of that, because I know you're also quite interested in that side.
Well, obviously, since we try to do a kind of integrated approach to individualization, nutrition is a huge part, and I see in this performance food session and the companies around it, it's a lot of microbiome and the bacteria in the microbiome, and that's being a big thing. And just over the last maybe between 5 and 10 years, people have started looking into the microbiome and the genetics of the microbiome, and that is hugely important. But it's today is kind of a leap between what the science know and what's being sold out there. So you should be aware of that, and it will matter. And I think in rough terms, there are around 21,000 genes from each human, and it's at least 100 times more genes from the microbiomes and the bacteria in the microbiome, meaning that the differences between people is huge. And differences between different states. For example, if you have some kind of pharmaceutical, so you have an infection and you get or bacterial infection and you get some penicillin or something, your microbiome will change extremely much. So from that perspective, it's absolutely reasonable that you should change your diet. You have a diet that is targeting your microbiome, and you should probably change your diet in different states as well, so if you're sick or not. But the science is simply not there to do any good, as you said, performance measurements and see what matters and what is important.
Yeah. So, and I guess a lot of that is, there's a lot of experimentation going on with, I guess N of 1 and trying to extrapolate out.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some dangers around that, but there's some, I guess positive things around that too. Because if it works for one, it may work for others. Rather traditional science, which is cast it out to everyone and then sort of bring it back down. So, So, are there any? Sorry, carry on.
As in all new areas of research, you get a couple of backlashes early on. So, for example, having added, if you say that the microbiome is important and having more bacteria would be better, but it turns out it's paradoxically negative to add the probiotics, because it will add one strain or a couple of strains of bacteria, but decrease the diversity and the variety of the bacteria, and therefore kind of having a lot of one type, but missing out on some of the other important ones.
Great. Well, I think that's all we have time for. It's always short and sweet, but we could carry on talking so much more. I know we had a long list of things that we wanted to talk about, but hopefully covered a good number of them. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we will be able to meet face to face at one time in time.
Would love to, and thank you for having me. That was
excellent.
Great.
Thank you very much, Michael. Excellent. Great. All right. Thank you very much. We are now going on to our second fireside, or the last fireside chat for today before the demo pitches. We have Linette Kucsma, my good friend from Natural Machines, who is doing 3D food printing with her amazing Foodini machine. I will ask her to join. Here we go. Linette. Hi, Linette. How are you?
Audio good, video's good, we're all good.
Excellent. How is sunny Barcelona?
You know, nice and sunny, can't complain really. So it's good weather, we're good.
Great, excellent. Well, what I thought I'd do is throw it over to you. I guess for those of you who just joined us, a quick background. My name's Chris. I am, I guess, the former CEO of CrushFit Food and Juice Bars, and I have been spending a fair bit of time in the last few years on Foodtech in terms of health, wellness, and in particular, very interested in personalized food and also Foodini. I've been following what Linette and Emilio have been doing for quite a while now, and currently involved with a peer-to-peer marketplace platform called Lunch.co, and where people are able to do home-cooked meals and share it with their colleagues. Now, I can imagine a situation where everyone has one of your amazing Foodini machines at home and could do some amazing food. So what I thought I'd do is, Linette, why don't you tell us a little bit about sort of what 3D food printing is for those of us that don't know, and the current state and what is possible, and we can explore the future and the trends of what it might look like. Yeah.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. So I'm just going to take 2 minutes literally to show you a couple quick photos and videos so people who don't know what 3D printing is can actually get it. So hopefully you see my screens, my slides on the screen.
And for those that want to maximize the video, just double tap on the screen with the presentation. Yeah.
Right. So this is going to be quick. We'll just do a quick overview. So this is Foodini, our 3D food printer. So our company name is Natural Machines, and we actually make innovative kitchen solutions. 3D food printing is our first released product line. So this is just a quick video of how it actually works. Hopefully it's not too jumpy with the things going over the air. But basically what you're doing is you're making your own fresh ingredients. You're putting it into a capsule. You put it into Foodini, choose what you want to print, and you print. It's a pretty simple process, and that's totally by design because we want this to be a very simple process. Now, you can see it again, just a little bit more on the actual print side with, let's see, let's get this. So this is just one print. We sped it up. This is our printing dream speed time. So this is a bit sped up, but we know 3D food printing has to be fast. This entire print took about 5 minutes. It's made out of fresh guacamole. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, 3D food printing is a crazy idea, but it's really not that crazy because if you think of a food manufacturer, you're practically already eating 3D printed food. They just don't call it that. So what a food manufacturer does is they take food, they push it through machines like you see on the screen here, they shape it, they form it. We took that exact same concept and created a kitchen appliance that we do envision will be in your home kitchen in the future. Today it's in professional kitchens. And now you can see just a range of things we printed. When you're talking about printing things, it's unlimited. You can have designer food, you can have regular food, so all sorts of things. The home use that Chris was talking about, some people think about where everything has to be fancy designs and some of what you see on the screen. And yes, we can definitely do that with 3D food printing and make it more fun, have kids eat vegetables more because we present it in a fun way. But think about things like your basic triangular tortilla chip, right? So this is actually 3D printed, even though it's more 2D. But the whole thing with personalization of food, what I can do here is I can actually choose my own ingredients and make it the way I want to, not having to rely on a supermarket package. Now you might say, well, you can do that anyway without a 3D food printer, but a lot of people don't, including myself, because in this particular example, when you're working with doughs, especially very thin cracker doughs, it's difficult to work with, to get it really thin and to roll it out on your kitchen counter. And it's too much of an effort. It's easier to go buy the bag. Unless you have a 3D food printer, then it becomes easier to actually print it. So in this case, this was actually white corn tortilla chips made with white corn flour, water, salt, that's it. Try to find that packaged in any supermarket. I don't think you will. And the next generation products we're putting out that will be for home use is actually cooking with lasers. So here you see a still shot from that. So yes, it's high tech. It sounds cool and it actually looks really cool when you're looking at it, but it's actually a very energy efficient way to cook food. And there's a lot of other benefits that go along with that as well. So that's my very short overview. This is what Foodini could look like in your kitchen. This is actual real product. So it's not prototype. We're actually selling globally right now across the world. So it's all real stuff and soon to be heading in your kitchens.
Fantastic. That's amazing stuff. And you know, I think we've been speaking for a while, and it's really great to see it all coming to fruition in a way. I guess one of the challenges you've been saying is it's, you know, people have this concept that it's an easy thing, you know, the expectation that, you know, we're able to have it today. You know, what are the realities of you know, bringing a product to market like this? Because there's a lot of complexity in that, and you're doing something that is really truly groundbreaking. That's really new.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people have this conception of overnight success, which doesn't really exist a lot in a hardware. So one of the examples I like to bring up is the Nespresso coffee makers that are popular here in Europe. People think that kind of came out of nowhere. We have these Nespresso stores all over the place, and it's in everybody's houses and in all hotels. But that actually started in the 1970s, and people don't realize that. There's Harvard Business Review papers out on that. So it's like, but people don't think, and that's not overnight to me. But even with us, we've been around since 2012, so we've known you for several years, you know, a lot since we've been doing this, and we're still young. When you look at products that come out in the market, even non-food tech, like if you're talking about Dyson tech, you know, from all the other products they're developing, after they release a product, they tend to release how long it took to get there. And even Dyson, who has a lot of engineers, quite a big budget, you know, especially compared to our smaller companies, it still takes them 10 years to get a product out to market. So the laser tech I was talking about before, we actually were working on that for 6 years now. We started working on it before we released the first product. And a journalist once asked me, you know, oh, it's been 6 years, why so long? And I started laughing because I was like, that's not long at all. You know, so the industry is still very new. And I actually made note. I was at a Sweden Foodtech big meet back in 2017. We actually met up there as well. So it's now back 3 years later, and people who were at that other event might think, hey, you know, it's not mass market yet, so is this game over? And it's definitely not game over. I mean, it's advanced a lot in 3 years, and you're going to see a lot more, but it takes time to get to that mass market play.
Yes, and I think, you know, that's right, and people forget that, and it's such it really is quite groundbreaking. I remember seeing your the laser machine, and that really is game changing, because when you start being able to cook as well as print all in one, you really do have a mini factory. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, if you start linking it, I guess, you know, as you will be with, you know, various online sort of resources and so on, that you can actually just, you know, press a button, come back after work, and have a fantastic personalized meal, personal to your, I guess, microbiome, your own, you know, physical, I guess, you know, tolerances and intolerances that you might have, and you know, based on some of the conversations we've had earlier in this session on this track around personalized food and performance, you know, being able to bring some of this stuff in would be absolutely sort of amazing, and getting it to the individual sort of level. So
yeah, we're not quite at that Star Trek replicator yet, you know, where things are going to be quite instantaneous, but we're getting there. But yeah, I was in on all the past sessions, and they're great sessions. And a couple notes I took from them is like, there's a lot of talk about cutting out sugar, right? Yes. So we need to lower our sugar in our diets. So, and since this is all about personalized food, you know, it's not just about, you know, when people think about 3D food printing and personalized food, yes, you can in the future get your food customized to calorie count, mineral count, vitamins, you know, all these other different things that we need. But as in the last talk just said, you know, science needs to get there as well. So it's not just the mechanics of the food processing, it's actually the science as to what do you, Chris, need right now for lunch or what have you, right? So we still need to get there. Yeah. But you can still personalize, not only from the tortilla chip example, but on the sugar track, there's a lot of food manufacturers actually looking at using Foodini and 3D food printing for printing cookies at home. So cookies doesn't sound too healthy, but you know, we can't eliminate all bad things from our diets. That's not realistic for the world, right? Yeah, but what they're looking at doing, so what they're looking at doing is actually deconstructing their cookies that they make on a manufacturing line and kind of reassembling them in a 3D food printer at home where you do have control. So you can actually start lowering the amounts of sugar in your cookies slowly over time so your taste buds become used to it. And I actually did that with my kids just when making cakes for happy birthdays and things like that. and they can't eat normal cakes really because it's way too sugary, which just shocks me because they're still kids and they still love sugar. But you can have that gradual decline, so it's not like, oh, here's a sugar cake and here's a non-sugar cake, and it's this huge difference and your taste buds just can't compute, you know? So you can slowly lower that with 3D food printing and customize it. And from the food manufacturing standpoint, rather than having a manufacturing line that will have to produce 50,000 varieties of cookies, they don't need that. They can actually do that in your home.
Great. Yes, and I think we've got only got a couple of minutes left, but I think it's what would be interesting is, you know, we were talking about like what's been happening with COVID and so on. And, you know, I know that you had a lot of well, your product, you know, Foodini has been in some of the top fine dining Michelin-star restaurants, you know, in Spain and other places. Obviously, that whole industry, you know, my whole F&B industry, has completely been decimated, you know, around the world, right? How have you coped? You know, what opportunities have there been as a result of COVID, and, you know, and how has it been supporting, I guess, hospitality, and are there other opportunities there for Foodini?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the hospitality market obviously took a hit, but where there's challenges, there's opportunities, right? So it depends on how you look at things. So again, we're selling globally. So in APAC, for example, in Asia, they're recovering from COVID now in different timeframes than we are here in Europe and in the States. So we're working with major hotel chains, for example, that are looking to bring new things into the hotel that can be customized, can be fun, little treats. I mean, these are kind of like the little joys in life, right? There's a lot of us who are in lockdown or maybe threatened to go into lockdown pretty soon with COVID. So even if it's like a little joyous cookie that you personalize with, you know, something chocolate that you made with on your phone, you know, because you can also do no touch with Foodini as well. So that's a big thing with food service now. Or working with food retailers who want to bring more people into the stores. I know there's a lot of tech right now that do a lot of food delivery due to COVID, and that's all, you know, going up, but, you know, that hurts the retailers. So they want to have safe ways for people to come in as well. So it's not just all over the air shopping. It's actually getting people in. So there are opportunities there. And of course, you know, that's not our only market. We work in healthcare. So there's a lot of other markets we work in with 3D food printing. But, you know, the HoReCa market is obviously not as strong here in Europe and in America as it was before COVID. But, you know, there are opportunities there.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Linette. I think as it is, it's a pleasure to see you, but it's always short and sweet. Hopefully we'll see you very, very soon in real life again.
Next week in Foodtech in person, hopefully. So Let's see how it goes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Linette, and we'll see you soon. Great.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much, Linette. And we are now moving to the last session where we're going to have 4 startups, because Ingmar had missed out through tech reasons, and they're now going to join us. We're going to have Carl join us now. Carl. And I'm also going to bring on board Artem. So, hi. And hi, Artem. So Artem is our investor from Rockstar Ventures. You can say a couple of words, perhaps, Artem, as this session is going to be hosted partly by you and your Q&A.
Yeah. Hi, Chris. Hi, Carl. Good to see everyone. Yes, we are from Rockstar. We mainly invest in food and agri-tech all across Europe, specifically focusing also on Scandinavia, investing early and seed stage with the goal to create lots of positive impact across the whole value chain of food. So very excited to be here.
Great, excellent. And Carl? I'm glad you made it. Apologies for all the tech issues before. This is always an interesting thing, but we go with the flow. So, Carl, you have the floor. Tell us about Ingmar, and we have 3 minutes of the pitch, and then we have a couple minutes Q&A. So, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Yes, you see my screen. Double tap to make it bigger.
And questions in the chat.
Yes. So, welcome. My name is Kalle, and I'm the founder of the app Ingmar that shows you recipes with your ingredients. And dinners are an everyday problem globally. Most people don't know what they will have for dinner the same day. And a normal family only goes around with a couple of recipes over and over and over. And a lot of food is also wasted in our households. Now, the solution we have is the app Ingmar, and we already have an iOS app in the Swedish App Store. The users of that app taught us that we need to improve the app to get them to continuously use it. That, together with the decision to build something future-proof and cost-effective for both iOS and Android, led us to rebuild it in Flutter, and it's soon ready to be relaunched. And this is how it works. Here, you first get to an onboarding, where it takes 1 to 2 minutes, where you're presented with the most common ingredients, and you just enter what you actually have at the moment. Then you're presented with the list of recipes that you can actually cook, first with all the recipes that you have all ingredients for, and further down in the list where you're missing only 1 ingredient, missing 2, etc. The fine part is that you can little by little update what you have with these short ingredients. Just tap it and continue scrolling. And also, when you go into a recipe, you can also see directly here that if there's something incorrect, then you can just tap a row to update your inventory. You can also swipe it to the right, and it will end up in your shopping list that we have in the app. And if you're continuously using that app, you will automatically keep your inventory up to date. So the normal behavior today is, if you have a chicken at home, you probably go to Google and Google recipes with chicken. And that is why we're building individual pages optimized for these searches. So what we have already is that we built recipe importers for the biggest recipe sites in Sweden. So we can show their recipes on our site. But even though we cannot show the complete recipe, we can actually enrich the recipe with information from calculations from our database of ingredients. So we can show calories, price proportion, carbon footprint. We have a team in place, but we're currently looking for a head of marketing. And our vision is happy weeknight dinners for all families, ending food waste in households, and globally helping millions to eat better. And the app is free. Our initial revenue model is to have a subscription with a highly personalized meal plan as a feature in the app. All users will get to try out the meal plan for free and also earn more free weeks by sharing it with others and other valuable activities. We'll charge around 50 Swedish crowns a month, which is in the lower end of other meal plan apps. But this is just the beginning. Just imagine the possibilities if we know what people have at home, what they eat for dinner every day of the week, and what they put in their shopping lists. Once we get to a bigger user base, we unlock plenty more revenue models like selling data, commission on sales, targeted ads, etc. So, are you curious to know more? Can connect with me on LinkedIn or ask me a question here.
Great. Thank you very much, Carl. Fantastic. I think that's super interesting. On a personal level, with Lunch.co, there's a lot of ways we can partner up on various things.
Definitely.
Artem, question from you, perhaps.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carl. Really like this personalized shopping experience and cooking at home. But my question is, do you now enable only manual inputs of what's in your fridge?
We actually have, first off, we are guessing what you probably have at home. And this will be even better when we have more users, because we can predict the likelihood of you're similar to another person that have that at home, etc. But then we're relying on the shopping list of what you're actually shopping to fill up what you have at home. In the future, I hope to connect with cards. So when you're just buying with your ICA card or the Coop Midmera card, you can just add all the ingredients directly to the app.
Okay, super. So basically, I need to use the app constantly while shopping, so to have this personalized experience, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would it make sense, you think, to automate somehow with image recognition, so you could scan your receipts from different shopping and purchases?
Yes, that is also in the plan to do that, because not everyone will shop loyal with their card, etc. So scanning receipts is definitely one, but there's also digital receipts that we'll tap into.
Super. And do you have any users now?
We have the iOS app only, and it's not working as we want it to be, but we have like a couple of thousand but we're hoping more for the new app that we haven't launched yet. But it's out in beta, and we can everyone that wants to try it, we can arrange that.
Interesting, exciting times ahead.
Yes.
I wonder, did you think about integrating the app with any retailers, so to kind of make this interconnected shopping experience? You go out, use the shopping app, and then it transfers all the data to Ingmar.
Yeah, that would be the best way, definitely.
There are a few ideas how to do it right.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Thank you very much, Carl and Artem. One last question for you before we move to the next pitch. What has been the most popular ingredient that seems to be always around in the home, that's always left on your app?
Well, that is a good question, but of course salt and pepper, but maybe that's not too exciting. But in Sweden there is a lot of olive oil and butter, and yeah, there are so many ingredients that are common for most people.
Great, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Carl, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Right. Right now we have Eric, who's going to join us from Innoscentia. Hi, Eric.
Hey, guys. I was looking very closely on the camera here.
Excellent. Well, the floor is all yours. You have 3 minutes for a pitch and 2 minutes Q&A.
That's great. So let me share you my screen here. Can you see it now?
Yes. And those that don't know, you can double click on it to maximize it.
Yes. Super. So, hi everyone. I'm Eric, the CEO of Innoscentia. We're a Swedish company developing dynamic labels for fresh meat, to be able to determine the freshness of meat in real time. And I'm actually right now in the studio here at work to do some first prototype testing of some of our first prototypes for the label that we've been working on for about 5 years. And we're doing this basically because we're wasting a lot of meat today. When it comes to the number of animals, it's almost 6 billion animals that are lost by waste every year. And about 10% of those animals and that meat volume comes from incorrect use of the labels that we use on our packages. So today we use labels which are very static. So we have an expiry date that is static, that cannot change depending on how we treat the packages. We don't get any information in real time about the safety of the products. And basically we cannot connect these to any types of traceability platforms to know more about the product as we go along. So that's why we're introducing and developing our dynamic labels. We do 2 of them, one that is changing color depending on the status of the food in the package, and one that sends a digital signal that can give you that same information, which means you can get the status in real time and prolong the shelf life. You can ensure that the quality is good and good to eat in real time. And you can actually connect every single package to know how a bigger stock of food is feeling and meat is feeling. So this works basically with our ink. We have developed a certain type of ink that reacts to gas concentrations in a package. So certain type of gases called VOCs, they react and then they produce this reaction either by change of color or giving a digital signal through our printed label. And as I said, we can do a lot with this, and there's a lot to earn. It extends the shelf life of a product, which means we waste less. It ensures that we know how good the food is that we're eating and prevent that we get sick. And it gives us the ability to build this platform of traceability that we're moving against with our food, to know where it's coming from and where it's been before you eat it. So basically, we're providing a totally new technology here, and we're very ready to start testing it. We're prototyping at the moment, and we're looking for both partners in production to test this with us, but also investors who want to join our movement forward. So hope that you feel it is as exciting that we feel. It's time to change this industry that is the label industry today. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Eric. That's a great presentation. Thank you. I've got a couple of questions. I've spent a bit of time looking at this area myself for the last few years, in particular looking at Mimica and how they're also doing a similar sort of thing. One of the things that has always sort of, I guess my biggest challenge around this is that it's all very good if you're able to see and understand what's happening when the product is sealed.
Yeah.
That's actually really important is when you rip open the pack and then it's in your fridge at home, because that's actually when 50 to 75% of the food waste happens. No one that I've seen has been able to track that piece once you've opened the pack. Are you able to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and unfortunately, I must say no. So we measure gas concentration, which means that it has to be a sealed environment. But that's also because we are in the meat section, and from what we have gathered and know about how we eat meat today, there's not that many that, for example, have a big pack of chicken and they open it and eat half and leave it open. Then you would repack it maybe or eat or cook the whole thing at the same time. So basically for our sort of area where we're in, that's not that applicable. But I've seen for example, some types of ham where you have a reopenable package. There are some solutions, especially in the UK, that we have been looking into as well, that track more oxygen development. But we're in the sealed compartment, and that's where our competence lie.
Excellent, great, thanks. Artem, over to you.
Can't disagree with you, Chris. It's indeed very interesting space. I've been looking a lot into it. There is a lot of innovation going on, but I'm really wondering. It's quite a competitive space already. And what's your unique value propositions that you're going to offer to retailers?
So I think, first of all, that we measure the actual status. So we measure inside the package. There are quite a few sort of parties that measure temperature, or they measure degradation in the same way as the product. But we measure actually in the package, and that thereby we can know, undependable on sort of the temperature and so on, we can know the actual status. Then I think the second one is the ink that we have developed, and that is our unique composition, which is quite cheap to produce and can react in the ways that makes our product sort of compatible on the price range as well. So I think two ways that we are mainly competing with the area that's already there. And one should also remember that it's a pretty big system that we are all battling. So I think there will be a couple of parties needed. I hope we will be the best one, but I don't think we will be the only one that's going to have a space there.
Absolutely, right. Very interesting. It's also not very clear to me the customer journey of a retailer. So how do you actually manage the food waste? How do you help them to eliminate it, to reduce it?
So do you mean especially for the retailer?
Especially for the retailer, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's two different ways. One with our digital version, there we can connect that to the existing digital system that you have as a retailer, which can give you information beforehand when you have products that are moving towards going out. But then it's also about sort of the way we can actually prolong how long you can sell a product. Because if you can add 1 or 2 extra days, you can reduce what is thrown away in the store with up to half of what we throw away today. So it has a lot to do with sort of giving the retailer information about when is it looking to expire, and how you can sort of ensure the quality of that when it has actually passed the printed best before date that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Basically, better access to information can ensure the food waste reduction.
Yeah.
Something to test with pilots, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're moving towards.
Super. Good luck with that.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. That's fantastic, and let's. I look forward actually to seeing how it develops, because it's a super interesting space. So well done on getting to where you are so far. Thank you, Eric. And we're now going to move to Jennifer.
Yes.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, can you see me?
Hi, Jennifer.
Welcome, Jennifer. Yes. So feel free to pitch. We've got 3 minutes and a 2-minute Q&A. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, it's technology as well, Weaver, but in a different area. But thanks for tuning in. I'd like to use the 3 minutes today to address the topic of consuming consciously on the go. Because single-use products are designed to be only used once before you throw it away. And if you think about coffee to go, we take resources. We make a cup that is only be used a couple of minutes before you throw it away. And this wasteful consumption leads to overflow bins, dirty streets, and eventually up in the environment in our oceans. And right now we do have an increasing consumption of disposable items with growing numbers, while we have decreasing resources to fulfill this demand. Right now, only in Sweden, we have more than 700,000 paper cups that are used every day, and only like less than 1% of that is actually recycled. And this needs to change. We need to go from disposing to reusing. And my name is Jennifer, and I run a company called Loopit. With our team of software engineers, business developers, and designers, we developed a digital reuse system for takeaway packaging. So people can return packaging instead of throwing it away. We started with reusable to-go cups and boxes, and we implemented our system at 9 locations, where our 2,000 users already returned more than 10,000 cups and boxes between these locations. The upcoming tax on disposable items in Sweden next year will increase the cost for consuming them. So we make the reuse, or our reuse system is therefore more relevant than ever. And we make reusing products financially profitable and convenient. Reusing items is our goal to show that it reduces cost and waste, it saves time, it enables returning customers, and also you can track your consumption behavior on our app to see what impact you actually have. Cafes do not continuously have to buy and purchase and store and literally throw away money with single-use items, and users enjoy the convenience of consuming on the go without having to carry around your own reusable mug or a box. And this is why we need you. We can only transform the way that we consume on the go by working together and taking responsibility for our daily decisions. The more partners use Loopit, the more waste we can eliminate. We made single-use waste, so it's our responsibility to fix it as well. We're ready to expand our digital system to any product that can be reused, not only in the takeaway industry. Think about delivery services, supermarkets, and cinemas. Think about all the single-use waste that you throw away per day, and let's make it reusable. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Jennifer. And I love it. Loopit is a fantastic, something we need in this day and age for sustainability and so on. I've actually also spent a fair bit of time in this space with a company called Cup Club, which is doing similar. Yes, Safi has done some really interesting things there. And we had, the view I have on this is I think it's great for a closed system. So I sit with a university, on the council of a university, and in a closed system, it works very, very well. But once you have an open system, and with my sort of operator hat on, how have you started thinking about that? Because if I am an operator, I have my branded product, and that's a big piece, even if factually it's branded. And I don't want to be serving someone else's brand, and neither do they want ours. So how do you think about that? And how's that impacted in your conversations?
No, 100%. This was like in the beginning, the biggest struggle as well with the customers, because they always say, hey, this is our branding. But in the end, we also said, we showed them just pictures of their wasted cups laying around in the streets, basically. And they kind of stumbled back. And we said, okay, we need a more holistic approach to that. So this is why we don't have any branded cups. So if you are part of Loopit, you have a generic cup that enables the consumption on the go. And there is no marketing and stuff on the product itself, because what we aim for is that we give the value to the cup. It's not a marketing tool. It's a tool. It's something that has value that you can use in order to consume on the go. What we offer our customers is then that they are part of this network, and you have this returning customers, you are on our app, on our website displayed. So users that actually use Loopit can see on your app, on the map view, the participating locations. So they see the branding there. They can do maybe promoting offers and all that kind of stuff. So we turn around the marketing position basically from something that is disposable to actually something on a digital stuff.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Jennifer. Martin, question from you, please.
Hey, Jennifer, thank you very much for the presentation. So basically what I understood is that by giving up a bit on marketing on the cups, as the brands can actually gain through additional customer base through the app. So do you have any success stories already available?
Yeah, I was actually just the other day, I visited one of our customers here in Stockholm because we're running a project with the Swedish Environmental Agency with IVL. And they started off at KTH or with KTH as well. And they came to us because they started off now after Corona again. And they were super happy because they had customers asking for Loopit and asking, when can I use Loopit again? Because they prefer having reusable items because they have just a better quality. Our cups, for example, as well, they are shatterproof, they're BPA free, dishwasher safe. You can't really shatter them. And they did last up to 1,000 times. So people were really happy in asking about that. And I think this was something that generates the values where the people say, okay, if people come back, this is a more value, and actually they always get something. If you get a coffee, you get a bullet with it. So this offers this sustainable image that they can actually have in being a forerunner of being able to actually eliminating the waste.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. We've got one more question, time for one more question from Marika from, I think, Pink. Yeah. She's asked, who washes the cups, the partners, or how does that work?
Exactly, right now our customers all have dishwashers, so they can just basically instead, users return the cup and they just basically right away place them in the tray and you can wash them in the dishwasher. What we were looking into as well long term is that we're all about reusing resources. So we base Loopit on reusing resources. We have no new resource in our company, basically. So all the hardware and stuff is also reused in a way or refurbished. And what we're looking into is then long term when we have places that does not have the facility to wash, we will then work together with delivery services, for example, to use, because they go from A to B anyways. And there are external washing facilities that do not run at full capacity. So we could use the rest of their capacity basically for our use. So using resources available is definitely our goal to make it more sufficient and effective.
Great, thank you very much, and Loopit. Great, all right. We are ready for our last startup pitch from Petra Kalko from Eat Grim.
Exactly. Hello, everybody. Let's share my screen as well, and then we're ready to go.
3 minutes on the clock, and 2 minutes.
Super. All right. So yes, my name is Petra. I am the CEO and co-founder of Eat Grim, and I'm here to tell you about the beautiful case of the ugly fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. So 1/3 of all the fruits and veggies grown will never actually make from farm to market simply because they don't look perfect or because they overproduced. In Europe alone, that's 50 million tons of edible food that goes to waste because of this. It's obviously a huge burden for the environment, but this is also a lost potential revenue of 250 billion euros each and every year. Eat Grim solves both of these problems. We source the produce directly from farms and sell it to customers in form of a food box. It's a subscription model, so you choose your size, the frequency, and then you get it delivered right to your doorstep or to a pickup point near you. With each box, you also get recipes and other ways to use the products. We launched in July 2018 in Denmark, and at this point, we're earning 145,000 euros in monthly revenue. We have over 2,500 subscribers who we got on board at a ridiculously low customer acquisition cost. And we're growing fast at a rate of 20% month on month. With these boxes, we're targeting 30 to 55-year-olds who want to live more sustainably, but are too busy or maybe too lazy to put in the extra effort that it might require. Online grocery shopping is looking to grow 5 to even 7-fold in the next few years, and retail detail estimates it at 47 billion by 2023. And in this market, our competitive advantage lies on the full focus on sustainability, because our customers and consumers are looking for brands that actually walk the talk. But we're also building a very strong brand and user experience to both get and to retain the customers. And all we do by still remaining as one of the most affordable options in the food box market. Then in the back end, we are building a business model that is built on efficiency, both in operations and logistics, because this is the part that many of our competitors fail. So a few words on that. We're building a platform where the farmers can easily report the supply of the ugly and surplus produce. Internally, we manage the data, the sales, and the performance. And then we connect that to both the B2C market in terms of the food box customers, but then also to B2B, where we operate a wholesale web shop. And the B2B is an interesting part. It's at the moment 2% of our sales, but here we see great because of the larger order volumes, which of course helps us to increase the scale, then greater impact, but also the relatively low cost of goods sold also supports the business model in total. It's also a growing market. In Denmark, for example, it grew 5-fold in the last 7 years, similar developments in other European countries. Itgrim was founded by myself and Carolyn. I bring in 3 years of experience of different roles in 2 different startups, and Carolyn from brand management in Zalando. Together, we have over 50 years of operational experience in the team, as well as stellar team in marketing and customer success. And at this point, we're raising 1 million in a seed round to escalate our growth in Denmark and also coming to Sweden. And this 1 million will go into customer acquisition, to our new warehouse, and also in building the tech platform. So if you think it's time to put your money where your mouth is, then let's talk after the event. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you very much, Petra. I love the name Eat Grim as well. It conveys edge to that.
That's what it is.
Fantastic. And it's great to see wonky fruit as you know, we talked about it in the UK being used and so on. My one question for you is, how, you know, I remember when Abel and Cole and all those other sort of, you know, sort of farmer boxes, veg boxes came out and so on. How do you avoid you know, getting a glut of, like, you know, it's always Swede or celeriac or something that you struggle to cook with? How do you manage that on the customer side? Yeah.
Yes. So in 2 ways, we are building a really big farmer network. We already have about half of the farmers from Denmark, but also half from around Europe. So we have Southern Europe, but also Germany, Netherlands, also other parts that increase the variety. It's also a lot about, you know, actually building based on the customer responses. So, you know, getting feedback and data about what they actually like, eventually creating different kinds of boxes as well. So you get to choose what's in your box. So customizability will be a big part of our plans going forward.
Great, thanks. Artem, your last question.
Thank you very much, Petra. I really like the branding story, just fantastic. I'm really wondering, so you mentioned very aggressive growth and scaling of your customer base, but what's your capacity right now?
In terms of operationally?
How many can you supply?
Yes. So in the current warehouse, that's why we're also looking for a new one. We can go to up to 5,000, which we will hopefully reach already in the springtime. But also in this time, we should be having a new warehouse where then also the plan is to stay for 2-3 years at least.
So somewhat like double the user base.
Yeah, exactly. That we can easily do.
Give some freedom to move.
Yeah.
But how easy it is to onboard new suppliers?
New suppliers is actually very easy, and now we're in a stage where they reach out to us. So we haven't done farmer outreach in a long time. Internationally, we get approached. Just now, our head of operations is talking with the Spanish farmers because they don't have a scalable solution to this. So this is really confirming the case also on the supply side, that they don't have anywhere to sell. This is perfectly nice, but a little bit wonky vegetables and fruits. Yeah.
Fantastic, like additional revenue stream for farmers.
Absolutely, without producing more, you know. So it's it's an easy sell. As sometimes there's a bit of doubt about, you know, who are you, where are you selling? But then as soon as we start buying and when they see the quantities, then it's not a problem at all. That's what always convinces them.
Fantastic.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Petra, and thank you very much, Artem. That was the last of the startup pitches. And I'm going to wrap up, summarize the last few sessions. Thank you, Artem, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Look forward to seeing you soon. So that's it for the personalized and performance food track for this afternoon. I'm just going to wrap up a little bit and talk about, I guess, the few things that we've learned from the different guests. So from Dr. Mariela Glandt. I think one of the things that was really quite exciting was the fact that the ketogenic diet, where it's very high fat and the low carb, and most importantly, getting rid of sugar, can transform lives, and from metabolic diseases like diabetes, and maybe potentially, as we explore perhaps other metabolic diseases like cancer and so on. Who knows? But that's a great start, and it's fantastic to see actually that the results are really, really measurable. Then we had our Sweden sports legends, Mattias Weinhadl and also Per-Ulrik Johansson. And Mattias was all about also very much following the theme of reducing sugar because of inflammation, and also reducing the intake of animal protein and switching more of that towards vegetable protein, plant-based protein. And part of the conversation was that actually, you can squeeze 20 to 30% increase in performance from better food and nutrition with athletes. That's quite significant if you imagine and you think about that, especially in this day and age where we can start measuring a whole number of different things. Per-Ulrik was also, from his perspective, I think he's touching on something which I really like, and that is the idea of that personalizing food, not just from a scientific perspective, but actually based on personalizing to your personality. Why? Because it actually brings in the ability for you to be able to sustain your diet and your habits for the long term. If you're a top athlete and so on, and you have a whole bunch of people around you, and you're told what to do, that's fine. But if you imagine the average daily person, that ability to bring in your humanity, if you like, and your own personal habits, Per-Ulrik talks about 80-20, 80% good, 20% enjoyment. How can we as individuals also map around that as well? So I think based on personality, if you have that really, really sort of hardcore personality where you can do it 100%, fantastic. If you can't, well, what is that scale that you can still get most of the benefit from? We then had Mikael Mattson from Stanford, and a lot of it is on his part is also around understanding actually there's a lot of science out there, and that we only have 3 hours of actual productivity in the workplace at the moment. If we can increase that by 1 hour to just 4 hours, or even a couple hours to 5 hours, you're improving the productivity of your employees or the workforce by 30 to 50%. And that can be done through physical activity, imagine PE at the workplace, or better nutrition. And if the company is able to provide that food, like Google has, but other companies, but think about it from a measurable, personalized food or performance food perspective, that productivity in your company will grow up significantly and massively. That's got to be worth something. And the last guest was Linette Kucsma from 3D food printing company Natural Machines that does the Foodini. And I think there the learning is that 3D food printing is here to stay, but we have to be patient with it. And at the moment, why is it important? It's because actually we can do a huge amount of sort of benefit from understanding how we can control health. You can reduce and eliminate sugar from your cookies or your cookie doughs, all the way through to much more, I guess, more complex things around pasta, and also in the future as we're able to bring in the, I guess, recipes and automate a lot of the production of your food with 3D food printing. So we have, I guess, come to the end of our session. We had 6 amazing startups as well, talking about personalized food as well as food waste reduction. My name is Chris Fung, and it's been a pleasure hosting you at Sweden Foodtech, personalized food and performance food track. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.